Very much, Rusty. One Lincoln man set out to build a replica of the Lincoln Capitol building on a cold night back in February.
Now he has completed the project over 6 months later as it sits within his living room. Channel 8's Jessica Blum joins us now with more on the story. Jessica.
Even with roommates and shared spaces, Ben Rhodes built the Lincoln Capitol out of Connects pieces all by himself, taking up an entire room of his house. It was the trips to the Lincoln Capitol as a kid that kept him going and motivated, and that helped him keep the eye on the ultimate prize as he started to have second thoughts. Over 300 hours and 22,000 pieces later, an 8-foot tall replica of Lincoln's Capitol building is now complete. This is not the first replica Ben Rhodes has accomplished. Rhodes has worked to build the Eiffel Tower, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and a Ferris wheel leading up to this. With an online Connects community for him to tap into, Rhodes was able to find specific pieces he needed, including smaller scale ones to build the-sower at the top of the Capitol.
It took me like a week or so to actually figure out how to make a human being stand in the way that the real sower does, and so I used the small ones, and it's probably like 150 pieces or so just in the sower alone.
Each night after work, he would come home and work on it by himself until it was time for bed. There were several reasons to keep going, he said, despite wanting to quit at times.
Pretty early on, I had a vision in my head of what I really wanted it to look like, and I'm like, to make that vision come true, I knew it would take, I just couldn't stop. I had to keep going until it was done. And then the last factor was the financial investment I put into it. I had already spent a lot of money on pieces, and I'm like, if I don't finish it, that means I just blew a couple $100 for no reason. But if I actually go all the way to the end, then it might have been worth something.
As he continued without prepping or planning, a given section was said to take about 10 tries before he got it right. So after going through with this, Rhodes had a word of advice as he reflected on the journey that lasted over half a year.
I just build everything on the fly because I prefer just to design in front of my hands. I can't do it all in my head to begin with. And as far as I know, there's no software you can do it on. But if you're going to try something like this, save yourself a lot of time and effort and frustration by thinking about it in advance.
Now the game plan is to keep it up until someone buys it, it ends up in a museum, or he and his roommates get too tired to look at it anymore. And Rhodes has future ideas for future projects, including Memorial Stadium, other famous Nebraska landmarks, as well as other big buildings across the world. But for now, he says he's going to need a long break before tackling any other big projects. Reporting from the newsroom, Jessica Blum, Channel 8 News.
Very impressive. All right. Thank you, Jessica. When we come back, in the United Kingdom, members of the public are getting